In the 1950s, the United States was recovering from the challenges they faced during World War II, and they were starting to have issues with communist countries like Russia, and there was a lot of tension brewing in the US. During this time, there was a broadcast journalist named Edward Morrow, and he was actually really famous during World War II. He would go overseas and report back what was happening on the front lines during the war. And he had a really large following. A lot of people really enjoyed his broadcast during the war. So again, he was a really famous broadcast journalist. And after the war, he actually started a new radio program. And this radio program was called This I Believe. So the This I Believe program was broadcast on radio stations all across the United States. And at this time, remember, it's the 1950s, so television was just starting, and a lot of families would kind of gather around their radios at night and listen to the different programs that came on as a family. It was kind of a family ritual, thing that people did together. So this show actually was broadcast all over the place and had a huge following. In fact, when it was broadcast, it actually had 39 million listeners, which is a very large following. So a lot of people were listening to the This I Believe show that Edward Morrow started. So the show itself, what it did was, during a really important time in America, it encouraged people to start thinking about what they believe in. And it was really important, again, for Americans coming off of World War II and with the Red Scare and fighting with the communists and things that were going on in the 50s. People were kind of scared and they needed something to comfort them. And this show encouraged people from all walks of life, famous people, everyday people, ordinary people. What they did was they would write personal essays about their motivations and, thoughts that they had and their values and their beliefs, and then they would share them with the world. And sitting around listening to the radio and listening to all these different kinds of people share the positive things that they believed in was really comforting for Americans at that time. So I think that's why this show was such a big hit. The speeches themselves were only about 5 minutes long, so not very long. But you could fit a couple of different people in each show and get a couple different perspectives from all across the United States. Well, that show ended, but today there is a radio station called NPR, National Public Radio, and they decided to continue this I Believe movement. And then also on Sirius Radio, another show is broadcasting the same idea as well, and they're kind of continuing that old-fashioned radio tradition of having everyday people write and share their beliefs with the rest of the country. So everyday people like you and me, so maybe teachers, maybe students. There's my lovely student. Yep. So people just like you and me, sharing their thoughts. And what this program does today, just like it did back then, is kind of forces us to stop and think about the values that shape our lives. So what kind of things do we love? What do we value? What ideas do we have about the future, and what kind of people do we want to be? So they're really deep and kind of important things to think about. And these are the things that I want you to start thinking about for the assignment that we're going to be doing. So we are actually going to be writing This I Believe essays. And you might be thinking, woohoo, just a fluffy essay, right? Fluffy like a cloud, just an essay about myself and things I believe, right? Like, Dear Diary, like a journal entry, something like that, but nope, sorry, I hate to burst your bubble. It's going to be a lot more involved than that. So we do not want it to be like a journal entry where you are just doing stream of consciousness, like blah, 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 rambling about your life. That is not what we're looking for here. So unfortunately, nope, not what we want. This essay is definitely going to have a format to it that you need to follow, and it all is kind of based on the foundation of your thesis. So again, you think of the thesis statement as the foundation, just like the foundation of a house. It's kind of the solid part that the rest of your essay is going to stand on. Without a good thesis, your house is going to fall down. So you need to come up with a good thesis. And your thesis is going to include the words, I believe, because that's what you're talking about, what you believe in. So you might be thinking, okay, well, how do I do that? Because in formal essays, perhaps you know that you're not supposed to use first-person pronouns, so how do I talk about what I believe if I'm not using I, me, my, us, we, or words like that? Well, the good news for you is that we kind of throw those rules out the window for this essay. So first-person pronouns are totally allowed. You can use them liberally as much as you want. So throw in all the I's, me's, we's, us, ours, my's as much as you want. They get the thumbs up. The format for this essay, remember I said not just a journal entry, it's going to have a pretty strict format that we're going to follow. So don't panic, but it is going to be a 5-paragraph essay. And the 5-paragraph essay is going to start out with an introduction, 3 body paragraphs, and a conclusion. Your introduction is going to contain that thesis that we talked about, your I believe statement. Your body paragraphs are going to support your thesis and what you're trying to say. You're going to need to have research to back up what you're saying. And don't worry, we'll tell you about how to do all of that later on. All right, so you A+ students, there's my A+ report card. I know there are some of you out there that are like, I've written 5-paragraph essays before, I can bang that out, no problem. And there are some of you that are like, woohoo, if I get this done right away, I won't have to do anything else, right? So I just want to get it over with. So you're ready to hit the ground running, speed off, and get this thing started and start writing right away. Well, to you people, I say, stop. No, 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 no. Okay, you can't do that. So you must stop. We are going to take it slowly. We're going to be doing this little by little, week by week together, because there's very specific things that are going to be required for this essay. And we're going to work on them little by little each week together, going step by step. So if you're a person who likes to hit the ground running and get it all done, you're going to have to think slow like a turtle and bear with us. If you're someone who is not thinking you're going to hit the ground running and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Please don't panic. I am only ever an email away. We will get through this together. I will give you lots of hints, lots of instruction, lots of tips to have a great essay, and you will be totally fine. You guys got this, you'll rock it, and good luck, everyone.